Hey everybody, welcome to Strength Coach TV. I'm Anthony Renna. This is the show where we take you inside some of the country's top gyms, give you a tour, and then we sit down with the owners and we talk a little bit of shop. Brought to you by Marigold Foods. Marigold bars are my favorite bar, and I have one every day. Grass-fed protein, non-GMO, no preservatives, low sugar. I mean, it's ridiculous. These bars taste great. I promise you, you're gonna love them. Got a special deal. Go to marigoldbars.com, put in Strength Coach 10, you'll get $10 off your first order. All right, we are continuing our tour in LA. We're up in Toluca Lake and to Chad Landers at Push Private Fitness. Now, at first, you're gonna kind of think you're stepping back in time a little bit. Chad has had this place for about, I think he said 16 years. I forget right now. It's about a month ago that I visited him, but he's had this place for a while. He uses a lot of machines and he's still doing one-on-one. And one thing we found out in LA is there's a lot of one-on-one still happening. So for people that think it's dead, you're wrong. People are making a pretty good living off of this still. But Chad has some really great insights. When I asked for recommendations on Facebook for some gyms out there, I had a bunch of people recommend Chad, and every time I tell somebody I went to go see him, everybody says, wow, what a great guy. He's really knowledgeable and knows his stuff. So I talked to Chad all about what he's doing up in Toluca Lake at Push Private Fitness. Let's head up there now. All right, guys, welcome to Toluca Lake. I'm here with Chad Landers at Push Private Fitness. Chad, thanks for doing this.
Sure, my pleasure.
And actually, just got announced 2018 NSCA Personal Trainer of the Year.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago, went to the national convention and received my major award.
Very cool, very cool. Overnight success, only what, 18 years?
Yeah, like
right?
30 years.
30 years, there you go. So we're here at Push Private Fitness. We're kind of, and we're gonna see it when we take the tour, but it's kind of like a little bit of a strip mall here.
Right.
We were outside almost battling for parking spots.
Right. Yeah, it was crazy
cool.
this afternoon.
How long you been in this space?
So I've been in this space almost 16 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and the reason why I chose this space, you know, LA is a very difficult city to open up a gym in.
Yeah.
And parking requirements and this and that.
Yeah.
And this had actually been 4 storefronts. So I took the center 2.
Oh, really?
And it had been 4 at one time, and it was kind of a small mom and pop commercial gym, if you will, but it was like, you know, it wasn't a chain, it was, you know, local thing. And after 9/11, they had ended up shutting down.
Oh, wow.
And just before 9/11, my wife and I had moved over to Studio City, which is 2 minutes away.
Okay.
And so I kept driving by this place and it was vacant. And my wife's like, babe, you should call on this place. Because I've been thinking for years, I've literally been in LA since '93.
So you were training before that?
Yeah, I'd been training in LA for 10 years, you know, from '93 to 2003 before I opened this place.
Yeah, yeah.
And so there had been a number of years where I'd been looking for a place and couldn't find the right situation. And because this had been a gym, it had the proper use permits.
Yes.
I didn't have to worry about pulling those in with the parking and all that kind of stuff. And luck would have it was 2 minutes from my house.
Yeah.
Which nobody has a 2-minute commute in LA.
Yeah, that's true.
You know?
That's true.
So
interesting, because I just found that out today, obviously on my trip to LA, that not every place is zoned for a gym because of the parking.
Sure,
so,
absolutely.
Very interesting. And I think it's a good lesson there, by the way, just to segue. A lot of times people, they want to open a gym, and they'll kind of force the space where you you were doing this for a long time and you kept seeing it and you knew the area and you saw that's the way the process really should work.
Absolutely. Well, one of the things that happens a lot in LA is a lot of gyms, especially since kind of the whole CrossFit business model started up, being able to put a box anywhere.
Yes.
And so a lot of them, they don't pull the permits. And there's not that many people that are checking permits around the city of LA. So there might be 3. So you might be able to be open for 5 or 10 or 15 years, who knows? And nobody may come and check your permits.
Yeah.
But the one time they do, and you don't have it just happened to me the other day. They came and checked my permit.
I'm
like,
really?
Whoa,
Wow.
Yeah, but if they do, they can shut you down. And it's happened not necessarily in the city, but I've heard it like Riverside and different places.
Yeah.
Different boxes got shut down because they didn't have the parking and they never pulled the permits. So for me, I never wanted to you know, I could have probably opened up and it might never anything had happened. But for me, it was always, I would have been looking over my shoulder. When are they coming in? That stress wasn't worth it to me. So for me, it's like, I got to do things by the book. And that's why I haven't been able to expand, because I've thought about it over the years. And I couldn't really do it here and do what I wanted to do. But again, it was just hard to find a place that was big enough and then had the parking. And I wasn't willing to just wing it and say, well, you know, they won't come in and check. Because I'm like, I just can't, I can't do that. Not with my life savings. You know?
I know, I love it. Well, what's the square footage now?
2,200 square feet.
So was it that when on day one was it 2,200?
Yes.
Oh, it was. It was just that they were different storefronts that you took
so the shop next door had already been there. That used to be part of the gym. Now, when I first looked at the space, the dental office that's on the other side of us, that was open, and I could have taken that on. Fortunately, at that time, I didn't. I didn't want to bite off more than I could chew. And luckily for me, the center two storefronts had the locker room already done, showers and everything.
Because that's right, they were on pop gym.
Exactly. So I already had the showers and everything, and I decided not to take that on. Now I wish I had it. But the thing was, I started in 2003. The economy hit the skids end of 2008, 2009. Had I had that extra square footage, I might not have been able to weather that, because I retracted about 30% at that time. But I was able to absorb that hit, come back, and grow from there. Now I wish I had the space again. But in hindsight, it was probably a good thing that I didn't take it on, because it might have just ended me in 2009 like it did a lot of people.
Interesting. All right, so you've been here for 16 years. Well, who's the member coming in? Because actually, let's go back one. What kind of membership, what kind of training do you do here? Because there's no group classes here. It's just one-on-one?
Absolutely. We are kind of nowadays it's considered an old school model. You know, the private one-on-one thing. And I'm not going to say that it's necessarily for everybody. But in a city like LA, and over the years, I've become known for training a lot of actors and musicians. So having that privacy aspect of it is definitely lent itself to that. If I had more square footage, I probably would entertain the idea of doing maybe some small groups or some semi-private stuff. But for me personally, what has always resonated with me, because I've been doing it for so long, is that one-on-one thing. I knew how to do that, and I knew how to do that really well. I've been doing it for 10 years before I opened this place. So I did what I knew, and I think that's a lot of times people that want to open gyms and they go kind of against themselves, and so think, well, everybody else is doing this, so I've got to do that. And that's not really what they're good at or what their passion is. And so I say, do what you do well. So if you do group training well, then you better do a group training place and not do the one-on-one thing. You know, and if you're good at one-on-one, man, nail that. And people will come.
I like it. I like it. What about other trainers? Because this is kind of big for one person.
Sure, absolutely.
How many you got here?
There's 6, and then 7, including me. When I first opened, it was just me, so that was definitely a leap of faith that I was going to be able to build this place, and that good trainers would come. Because I've definitely, you know, when we'll talk about it later, I'm sure, made mistakes and had trainers I needed to get rid of, and that kind of thing. But my big goal when I first started, of course, my wife and I put money into it to open it up. But I didn't want to put another dollar of our own personal income into it after that initial outlay. And that's exactly what I've been able to do. We never took another dollar. It's always, the gym has been self-sufficient. So that I'm very proud of, because that's been a difficult thing for 16 years. But you know, it's one of those things where I knew in the back of my head that I needed to have other trainers. There was no way I could do it just on my own. You know, but it was tough to find the right fit and build that company culture and stuff we'll talk about.
I definitely want to talk about that, because I mean, when you have one-on-ones, you know, are you writing the program for all those people, or is it almost like you're just hiring them and hoping so we'll talk about that, because it's an interesting dilemma that you can run into, and a lot of people still do it anyway if they don't have like a uniform program design, that type of thing. All right, cool. So let's get a tour, and then we'll sit down and talk some shop.
Sounds good.
All right. Okay.
So this is where the clients come in. We have a coat rack here, a little tiny lounge area if they need to sit down. A lot of the times, honestly, people like women will just leave their purses here or their water bottles here or whatnot. We do have lockers in the back that are locking, but it's kind of like Cheers here. So nobody's worried about anybody taking their stuff or anything like that. So a lot of times stuff actually gets left here or maybe on the counter. We do have a little box, thanks to my wife, that we put the little keys and cell phones and wallets and stuff.
She should sell that.
Exactly. So a lot of times,
some kind of fitness box.
Yeah, that's it. You just have this little cute little box, and that's what most people use. But some people do actually come from work or they're going to work.
Yeah.
So we do have the lockers and the showers and everything
showers,
for that. But very few people actually use them.
Yeah.
I would much rather have some of that square footage actually than have it all built out into 2 massive locker rooms. But it is what it is.
Let me actually show everybody. I just want to see this is the parking lot. So like I said, it's kind of like a strip mall. And basically, Chad and I were almost fighting for a spot.
All right.
So Chad, just tell us how that works. That actually, there's spots. And if we look, that open spot right there's one. I should have grabbed that. That's actually Push Private Fitness spot.
Right.
All these spots are quote unquote assigned.
Well, nobody listens to any of it. I'll come in like I did this afternoon. Somebody was parked in one of my spots and they were parked so far over I couldn't even use the other spot. So luckily for us, most of our clients are coming in before work, and a lot of the other businesses aren't even open until 10 or 11 o'clock. So in the mornings, it's wide open. We have no trouble getting clients and trainers, having parking and whatnot. A little bit busier at the lunch hour because there are restaurants in this center. And same thing at dinner time. But a lot of the other businesses start to shut down around 5. So it usually opens up in the evening too. This was an oddly busy time for a 4 o'clock. I was surprised actually how busy it was. But for the most part, we're lucky that in the mornings especially, we don't have to worry about it. So parking's pretty cool for the most part. And it is a big lot.
Yeah, it is. Talk to me about this now, because again, this is a one-on-one facility.
Sure.
This seems to be taking up a lot of space. Was this here? What was the idea behind this? Obviously, you kind of need some office space too. So.
Sure. This was here actually, because like I had said before, it was a gym before, so this was already pre-existing. The shelves weren't there, and my diplomas obviously or anything, but this front area here where I have the protein powders and stuff, that was already done, so I didn't put that in. So I kept it there, and I did want an office. Storage is always an issue. I wish I had more storage, and of course my wife would like me to have more stuff out of the house and bring it here to the gym. So, but I just don't have that. So, I could certainly use the square footage for other stuff, but I need the storage too. And it is nice to have the desk here and be able to handle stuff here and not have to do it at home.
And where are you going to put all your Iron Man stuff?
Yeah, I know. I don't have any more room for any more Iron Man stuff.
So cool. So where they're going to come in? Where are they going to warm up, or is it just going to be anywhere?
Yeah, I mean, well, typically, there's not that many people here. They'll usually warm up on either one of the treadmills or the elliptical, maybe one of the bikes. We don't have a huge path open, but people can do some mobility stuff kind of around. I kind of left a little bit of a circular area so people can do farmer walks and whatnot. But we obviously don't have a dedicated turf area or anything like that. And quite frankly, back in 2003, nobody did. This wasn't the business model. So nobody thought about doing that. So when I started, this was, more what you would have seen at a gym 16, 17 years ago.
Yeah, let's walk over this way and start seeing some of the machines. So, obviously, in these kind of places, you're always going to need some cardio.
Sure.
Right? We got the cardio going here, and then you have some of the the dreaded machines. How could you, Chad?
I know. Well, back then, and to be quite honest, I think some machines I actually love. And for certain populations, it's far safer to use the machine than it is to try to get them to, do a side lunge or something that they have no coordination and skill to do. So I actually don't have any problem with having machines. The biggest thing is I wish I had more square footage so I had open space too. It's not like an either or kind of a thing.
So we'll walk through.
So I have selectorized stuff. I have a hammer strength stuff, and a lot of it is, I kind of put this gym together so that I would be happy working out here because I knew I would never leave. So, I do have, rubber bumper plates and a calibrated powerlifting set and, Swiss balls, medicine balls. I have kettlebells, you name it. I mean, I've got it all.
Yeah.
So it's just the only thing that I don't have is extra square footage to have turf to be able to do more of that kind of stuff, which I would love to have.
Yeah.
But I don't have it, and that it is what it is.
It is what it is.
So.
Cool. Let's keep walking around here. So, and we'll talk more when we sit down about, the thoughts about, changing if you have thought about it,
Sure.
or the future. So, but
right.
So the bathrooms and also the lockers in here as well.
Yeah. So there are lockers. In there you can see lockers and showers, but like I said, hardly anybody uses them. So when it was a commercial gym and they had memberships, I'm sure they had much more use out of that. And since they had 4 storefronts, I'm sure having locker rooms that size were worth it. But for me, I definitely could have used some of the extra square footage, but it wasn't worth it to me to reconfigure stuff. That would cost a lot of money.
Yeah. Cool. And like you said, you have plenty of the other toys in here?
Yeah, plenty of tools that, like I say, I just wanted to be happy myself. So from the, different powerlifting bars to kettlebells and battle ropes and the endless rope, I mean, you name it, there's stuff tucked away in here pretty much everywhere. So we can certainly get an effective workout no matter what.
For sure. Cool. What's that square footage one more time? I forgot.
2,200.
2,200. Cool. Yeah. All right, well, let's go sit down and we'll talk some business.
Great. Sounds good.
All right, Chad, thank you for the tour, going over some stuff. First of all, I want to give you a little package from Marigold, Marigold bars, awesome. And there's snacks in there as well. They're
fantastic.
Really good, non-GMO, no soy, gluten-free, low sugar. They taste great.
Looks amazing.
I think you got a darkened
cookie dough
and a dark and salty. Dark and salty is one of my favorites.
Oh, it sounds good to me. Both of them sound great.
Yeah, that's they allow me to be able to come out to places like you and come out to Long Beach and LA and just basically give everybody some good information from some experienced people. So we'll talk.
Well, thank you so much. I'm going to put it right here.
Absolutely. Talk to me about, again, you've been doing this for a long time. And you've been here for a long time.
Right.
You're doing one-on-one. Obviously, it works for you.
Right.
And you've seen this shift to kind of semi-private.
For sure.
Talk to me about staying true to one-on-one, not doing semi-private,
right?
And maybe why you've done that.
Part of it has to do with just what I like, because I do very well on that one-on-one thing. Okay. And because of having my own and having my own space, and over the last 16 years developing a following of actors and musicians, they don't necessarily want to do semi-privates with somebody else or be in a group. Yep. So for me, the one-on-one worked for me personally, kind of internally just rang true to me and what I'm good at, because I'm a good listener, I'm a good mentor, and a lot of times you find out over the years that training has very little to do with the training and more about you as a human being. Yeah. I mean, I just posted the other day on social media, I just had the 24th anniversary with the same client.
Wow.
And nobody has that, and I've got multiple clients over 20 years with me. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, so it's not about the training anymore at that point. It's about making their time with you and their experience a positive thing, something they look forward to every week. Sure. So for me, that was a one-on-one model, did that. Part of it has to do also with how I put the gym together. So for me to switch over to more of a group, it wouldn't work very well in this space, I don't think. Okay. I think you need more room, more open space, and more multiples of the equipment that you have to run that kind of a thing. And for me, I would rather have, like I told you earlier, 5 trainers in here one-on-one. Well, would make me pretty much the same amount of money as I would make if I was personally doing semi-privates, at a lower price point. So I would just rather have that. And now I've employed 5 other people, not just myself, making them maybe a little bit extra. And so I think it works out well for everybody involved.
And I think also, you've been doing it for so long that even let's say tomorrow you said, you know what, I want to take some of this out and we're going to go to a semi-private model. First of all, you'd still need a lot of it because not everybody's going, especially after that long, right? So you
absolutely,
and I think the best people like the Cosgroves always talk about, they're like, no, we didn't say don't do one-on-one. We just said make it a higher price point. Make it so there isn't because the ceiling is going to kill you eventually.
Right.
So for them, they were never saying don't do one-on-one. If somebody comes in, you keep taking their business. But for you to do that here, we could probably do that if we took all the equipment out. But then we'd lose the one-on-one aspect, and you wouldn't be able to do it.
Exactly.
So, talk to me about how you. Because I know it's got to be hard to keep the culture or have a culture.
Right.
Go over, the 5 other trainers that you have in here.
Right.
Are they doing their own programming? Are you influencing their programming? Because if you don't believe in something, like let's say, I don't believe in the back squat or a sit-up.
Right.
And then you're over there doing it. My client's like, well, Chad's doing it over there with his client. How come they can do it? Talk to me about how you manage all of that.
Sure. It can be a challenge. I mean, part of it that makes it most challenging is because everybody's independent contractor. They're not an employee of mine. So I'm not legally allowed to tell them how to train people.
Okay. Good point.
So yes, in the past, I've had trainers come in who talked a good game, and then when I see them training or doing something that I personally might consider dangerous or what have you, I have to get rid of them. I have no choice because that's ultimately going to come down on me. And unfortunately, you have no way of knowing if somebody's good or not. They can have all the credentials in the world. They can have a boatload of clients they want to bring in, and that's one of the. Luckily, I didn't make the mistake much. But in the beginning, when you need other trainers to come in to have cash flow, then you're like, okay, they seem okay. I'll let them in. And then you realized your spidey sense was going off and you didn't listen to it because of the money. So now it's much more cut and dried. I had it happen to me, unfortunately, a couple months ago, maybe a month ago, where there was a guy that the only reason why he was here was because one of my other trainers who moved away had referred his clients to him because they did a particular style or whatever. Seemed like a good guy, whatever. It didn't work out, and I had to just cut and dry. Boom, sorry, dude, you're out of here. And then once I had the conversation with him, and he realized, he apologized, and he was a man about it. But then he asked if he could come back in, and I'm like, no. I'm sorry, but it's done. That ship has sailed. So it is difficult to create a certain culture and level of expertise. And yes, I do think that you lead from the front. So I'm certain that my interests and then the way that I treat clients and all that kind of thing has influenced the other trainers. But I've also known some of these guys I've known for 20 years. So I know them really well, both in the gym and out of the gym. And so it would be very difficult for somebody new to come in and crack the nut now. It would be very hard for a new trainer to come in.
I'm looking at your bookshelf. I'm seeing everything that all the best trainers have, right? I mean, so it's not like you're sitting here in 2002, stuck on buys and tries day, whatever, right? I mean, it's obvious. I mean, we saw some of the newer equipment as well. How do you do that though? I mean, if somebody new is coming in, are you saying because are people coming in off the street saying, hey, I want to train here, and then you're saying, okay, well, I can't train you, but I got a guy. Are you referring? How's that working?
Yeah, so basically when somebody comes in, I typically don't take new clients on anymore unless it's been on referral from an existing client or somebody in the industry or what have you. I just don't have that much time. And I have a lot of my clients who are out of town. Maybe they're on location shooting something. So, I can't just always be taking on new ones because when those people come back, they need a spot too. So luckily, because I have all these people that I can trust, then I do refer clients to them. And so it really works more than on a schedule. I try to find what the client's ideal schedule is and then say, so who do I have here that has that schedule or the closest thing to that that they can do, and then give the client their options. So and on my website, most all the trainers have a bio video on there, so you get an idea of what their personality's like. So I can say, okay, you can check out the website and see. I think Tim's got the time. You can check his, and then say, oh yeah, I like Tim, he's cool, or whatever. So and none of us have any ego about it. So if somebody comes in and they want to try a different trainer, after the first 10 sessions or whatever, then sure, that's great. We just want you to have a good experience and to come in. We don't take it personally. So if somebody would rather train with my guy Vic than me, cool, train with Vic.
Yeah.
As long as you're training and you know, you're having a good experience. So
now, how are you getting people, like from a marketing perspective?
Right.
Again, you know, are you out there saying, "Hey, come to Push Private Fitness," or is it very?
I am very old school in that regard because I have never spent $1 on an ad.
Wow.
I've never done anything in you know, now 25 years in LA.
Yeah.
It's always been. I mean, I shouldn't say always word of mouth because obviously having a facility, there is a certain degree of walk-in traffic.
Course, yeah.
And now that the internet's big, the internet wasn't big in '93 when I started.
Sure.
But now, you know, you have a website, people can Google you or Yelp you, so they can find out about you before, you know, so you don't really have to necessarily market in that way.
Yeah.
And because I've been around so long, you know, it's just my reputation's there, and obviously, you know, certain things when I'm in the media because of a particular client, that raises your level. Of course, personal trainer of the year thing. So all that stuff kind of works together. But it's still, I've always believed that you're going to get the best, most consistent clients from other clients who've had a good experience. And so word of mouth for me has been the best thing since day one, before I had my own facility.
Yeah, everybody's got to. I think that's the answer we get the most is the word of mouth anyway. So. Let me ask you this though. How is it managing, like for example, working with a lot of actors, they're going to go away. So when they're going to go away and it's like, okay, they're on a shoot for 2 months. Or more.
Or 10.
Yeah.
If it's on a TV show. It's crazy sometimes.
And then they're coming in like, Chad, I need to train 6 days a week, twice a day, whatever. How do you manage that piece of it financially? Not only scheduling, but financially, because, you know, are they on retainer? Are they paying a monthly fee? No matter what?
No, I don't have anybody on retainer. They pay when they come or not. Now, over the years, I've built up so many clients that if I had everybody in town at the same time and coming in, I couldn't do it. You know, and I have occasionally weeks or maybe a couple weeks out of the year where all of a sudden I'm at 40, 45, 50 sessions when a normal week would be 30 sessions for me. And but by the same token, I've had weeks, like recently, it was odd. So many people were gone and traveling, and over the years I've ended up training lots of couples, so I'll train a husband and a wife, you know, separately. But all of a sudden they're both on vacation, so you have a couple of couples gone and a couple people on location, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, I'm doing like 15 sessions. This is brutal. You know. But that's where having obviously that other revenue stream of the other trainers and having built things up, you know, over the years. So it would be different now. If I was starting out now, just fresh, and I was the only trainer and the rent was what it is, I probably wouldn't open up my own place. I'd probably let that be somebody else's deal to handle. But I've been able to kind of grow along with the increase in price, because I'm paying, you know, double what I was paying, you know, 15 years ago. So it's difficult. There's no doubt about it.
What would you do differently looking back, or maybe even kind of not just from the beginning, but maybe like, I wish 7, 8 years ago I did this, or 10 years ago I did this. What would you do differently?
The biggest thing I would do differently is I would have started putting stuff out on like YouTube and Facebook and stuff like that when it started, and I still don't really do a whole lot of that. I tend to do more like personal stuff, not, you know, me working out or nutrition advice or whatever. But in hindsight, having seen people that, you know, like somebody like, I'm friends, I don't know if you know Ben Bruno. So I'm friends with Ben, and you know, Ben moved out here a couple years ago, young guy. I mean, I've been training people for probably 15 years before Ben ever trained a person. But he was very savvy with putting content out, whether it's written or video content, at a very young age. And that took a lot of guts, because when you put yourself out there, a lot of people, especially on social media or whatever, can talk bad about you, make you feel rotten about yourself or whatever. And I mean, it worked for him. That's how he ended up getting a job out here, and then getting way more famous people than I train with him, you know. And so for me, I think that had I put myself out there more at a younger age, I would have been known far earlier. I took kind of the slow route.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that, I guess, but I probably would have been way ahead of the game now.
Yeah.
And wouldn't have had to wait 25 or 30 years to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, Ben has a kind of an unconventional route, but the one thing that we can always say about Ben is he's so present when you speak to him, and he's one of the most genuine and authentic people
absolutely,
that you're going to meet. And he's a beast because he can lift up like a car with his pinky. It's ridiculous how strong the kid is. And people love that. but yeah, he's done. His story is kind of that really doesn't happen like that. It's not. It's kind of almost like an anomaly, really, to be honest with you, because it's what he's done has been incredible in a short amount of time.
Absolutely. Well, I think the biggest thing that you hit on is that authenticity.
Yeah.
Because tons of people can throw out, they have a great physique or whatever and put stuff on Instagram or whatever, but you might get a lot of Instagram followers and whatnot, but that doesn't mean you're necessarily going to get people to actually want to train with you in person. Yeah. And that's all about who you are as a human being and that authenticity you talked about. And I think that's why, part of the reason why the people that he trains, they train with him, because it resonates that he's not full of BS. He's not an LA type of guy, you know? And so he doesn't really care. It's just all about, hey, let's get after it in the gym.
And there's also this element, like I worked in the bar business for 18 years and opened a bunch of bars for celebrities. And, you and I were talking about this earlier, is there's this level of trust that they need to gain before they'll let you in. And once they do, it's like a floodgate, and everybody now they're they're going to Anthony's opening that, or this one's working with Chad. Yeah, cool. I know, and they're he hasn't spread any bad rumors. He's not, they can trust you, and
absolutely,
that's a huge factor.
It's
for
huge
what you're doing.
For sure, and especially now it's so easy to get caught up in social media, and let's say that Ben's got clients who push him in social media. So then you're like, wow, how come my clients don't do that? Well, you know what? That's not what it's about. If the client wants to do that, it's on their terms. That's great. But you can't be asking them to do stuff like that. And to be quite honest, I mean, Ben's situation is a little different than mine. If people were to promote me or that they were here too much, I would have to deal with paparazzi hanging around and stuff like that, because it's a different setup than what Ben's got going. So for me, it's okay. It's not a big deal. If people, I've had plenty of articles done about me, and whether it's Men's Health or People Magazine or whatever, that it's not a big deal. None of it is made. I don't think any of it's led to another client or not. It still all comes down to that referral. And you get referrals, like you said, by that trust. And so, I mean, there's tons of clients that I train that are famous that nobody knows that I train them. The vast majority.
I'm just surprised that there was no paparazzi waiting when I pulled in. But yeah, I'm glad we did this. Thank you so much, because I think we get in this box of, you can't just do one-on-one anymore.
Right.
Apparently we can, and we've showed it in another place in Long Island at Amp Fitness in Long Island, in Massapequa Park. And I like what you said about, it's what I like to do. People forget that. If you don't like to do the other stuff, don't do it.
Right.
So thanks for coming on and sharing your experiences.
I appreciate it. Well, after 25 years, it's like you've seen a lot and you've done a lot, and the best thing that you can do is try to give back to the younger people coming up, because I didn't really have those mentors. I had to kind of figure it out and take my lumps. So for me, if I can do something like this and it helps somebody out, so if anybody, I've been around long enough that if you go on any social media, it's just at Chad Landers. So you can find me if you have a question after you see this and you're like, I want to open up a one-on-one place. What do you think?
Bring it on.
Let me know.
And but we're sounding like too old now. Like when we were kids, there was no internet.
Way back in. Well, I mean, I've got the pictures from the '80s with the mullet and the spandex, so it's there.
All right, man. Thanks, Chad.
All right,
Appreciate
man.
it.
Thank you.